Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to. I hope you're doing it with a smile on your face, like I am right now, this very moment, because I'm bringing you a little bit of a, well, I like this video. I wanted to make this video simply because it's a little bit of a Island of Misfit Toys video. I do a lot of streams, a lot of full line streams, a lot of just general mucking around streams. Play tanks people really want to see played in a specific manner. And this is 3 tanks where I mastered them on stream. And they are very much tanks that are undersold within the game. And that's probably because, well, the 3 of them have specific playstyles, and they're not really what you'd call overpowered tanks. But when they're used correctly, they can be very, very successful. Now, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, this first one is in the 3002D. Now, I actually hadn't played a lot of this tank prior to the stream, but I do quite like it, and it went really, really well in the stream, as did pretty much every other tank I had in this stream. And this is a massive game from this little tank, one of the biggest I've had in it, if not the biggest actually. And then we're going to have a look at the AT7. And we're going to see the AT7 in its element, and then we're going to have a look at the Chi-Ri. And I particularly love the Chi-Ri mastery because it is a real example of why that tank is a vicious, vicious tank when played in a very, very specific manner. And I'll talk about that more when I get towards it. I like this video of the 3002D because you can see it's all just about the standard craft that you have in Blitz. Picking targets, coming out after they've fired, so peek-a-booming, really minimizing the opportunity to take damage back, looking for targets of opportunity, and not letting the enemy really get to grips with you in any great way. And I find that to be a really good pointer for tanks like the 3002D, which doesn't have a particularly strong armor profile. It isn't incredibly mobile. It's pretty mobile, and it's more or less a tank that's a good gun on top of a limited chassis, which you'd think would be something people wouldn't like at all. And you'd be correct. Because people tend to love Russian tanks and tanks that can perform heroically under fire more than they do tanks that are finesse tanks. Tanks that require thinking and thoughtful play styles and can really suffer when they come under fire from multiple directions at once. Now, I get a couple of key bounces in this, and I will not deny that you know, they're not always going to happen like that. But there is an old saying, I call luck when opportunity makes effort. And I do put myself in a situation on most of these bounces to make the shot as difficult as possible for the heavies that are chasing me. And you can see here, I'm in huge strife. I've got 3 heavies surrounding me. I'm trying to clear this one in particular because he is the lowest hit point heavy, and he's the one that I am going to deal with, you know, is most possibly going to put the most damage into me. So I try and get between him and the T150, so it's harder for the 150 to hit me. We bounce our shot, unfortunately, but we keep our angles there, and you can see we're angling and jiggling as the 50 comes in. We're just staying ahead of that gun, and then we're spinning around into him and backing back down, and again keeping our angles. Clear the 62 because he's deadly. Back into that 150, and he makes the mistake of looking away for just a second. And then I'm past him, and I'm under the gun of the T29, clear the 150, and that's what I mean. Like, a couple of key bounces there were ludicrous, but at the same time, a couple of them were literally because, you know, we put ourselves in a good position. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm going under the gun, so he can't get the gun far enough down to get easy shots. And then, unfortunately, we can't find the KV2. Last time I saw him, he was crossing B, you might have noticed earlier, and heading down towards our spawn. And never the twain shall meet. He's just going to hang out and basically win the game from him. Good on him. I would not come and give me the win either if I was him. Not that he couldn't just clear me in one quick shot. I probably should have driven to A there and let the SU-152. But to be honest, I was never going to make A in time anyway. And that's the Vk30 Just really got a good upper plate if you can get it at a supremely hilarious angle. A good gun, good DPM, and fairly solid mobility. And you can see in the right kind of situation, you can turn that tank into a little killing machine. Now, the next tank is a tank that gets maligned tremendously. And I've actually done a lot of tanks for the Master Series now. I've done the Bat Chat with Vk30. I've done a really good Master Series tank, Fv215B with Oxbow from Legion. I've just finished, I polished off the Jagdpanzer E100 with Dark Magician Girl, one of the one of the notable players from the NA server. And I'm going to do an AT7 Mastery Series with Skate, my mate Skate from Skate Extreme. If you're not following his YouTube channel, you probably should. And he sent me some footage through from that, and he loves these tanks, and I love them too, because they are actually very, very good at specific roles. What they are is if you think of these tanks as massive DPM machines that can hold an area and pour out damage into an area over the top of other tanks in support, then you will do very, very well in these tanks indeed. And that's exactly why you love taking this tank somewhere like this on Yamato Harbour. For time immemorial, this has been the place you go to if you want to get a little bit of love from the TD section. And it remains so for a tank like this. It's got a weak point on top, but you can hide that weak point if you've got a big, ugly rock near you. And the gun will just spit out hellfire and fury in no uncertain terms as soon as you get it aimed up and ready to go. Think of it like if you were in Team Fortress 2 or watching a Star Wars movie. This is a sentry gun. It is a gun you can put in a corridor and it will just mow stuff down until there's too much stuff coming towards it and it can't keep up. At the same time, you should never drive in front of this gun, because though the tank is considered a laughing stock by a lot of people, and I don't consider it a laughing stock, I never have many problems driving these kind of tanks. I mean, you've probably seen my Tortoise video. I adore a lot of these tanks, and I do very, very well in them. And I actually have a lot of mates that don't like them, but I've got a couple of mates who think they are grouse. They are absolutely Bobby Dazzlers. And I'm inclined to agree. Look at this thing go. Once there is tanks on the table to eat, it will eat them up in no uncertain terms. And I'm getting shots because armor profiles tend to work very well at distance. And if you want to push on this thing, IS6, then you are going to have to pay a hefty penalty in damage to yourself, your good self. Here we go. Finally gets the gun down. Lovely 400 alpha bounce. What do you got to say for yourself now, buddy? Now you are in the torture chamber. Feel the burn of the AT7 as you press the button on the reload and basically lose your hit points like you are bleeding out your sphincter. Thank you very, very much. Didn't even have to use adrenaline there. And now we're back up to our sentry position. You gotta love this. Now, sure, it can suck severely when you get flanked by mediums and lights. Why do you think I'm not moving from this rock? Anytime someone that's a medium or light comes towards me, they're going to have to get round Mr. Rocky McRockerson that's right next to me. Hug a rock, boys and girls. Hug a rock when you're in a turretless TD, and you will go a lot further in this world. And this, for me, is a bit of a giggle, because someone on stream actually said, why don't you drive the AT7, if you're going to drive crap tanks? And I was like, well, I don't really think the AT7's a crap tank. I think it's quite a good tank. And it's from quite some time ago, this too, but I had it kicking around and I wanted to use it. I had some KV1 stream masteries and all that kind of thing, but I wanted to stick to the same tier. So we've got tier 7s all the way, boys and girls. Tier 7s all the way. Now, the last mastery is in the Chi-Ri. 23 shots fired, 20 direct hits at pace while traversing. Can't get enough of that. 3,252. Very, very solid. The reason I love the Chi-Ri is quite simple. People play it as... Well, people don't know how to play it. People play it... It says medium on the box, so they go jaunting off to the flanks and try and brawl, and they get absolutely wasted. People play it as a sniper because it's got no armor, and it's just a waste of time because the gun isn't that amazing, the pen's not that amazing, and realistically, the best sniper guns you can get when you want to have no armor are guns that deliver all their damage in one foul swoop, like a ISU 152 or something, or an SU 152, or a KV2 or something, or a 183 or a Jaegeru, where you can drop a whole big bunch of alpha and then retreat. And some of those tanks obviously had armor. I digress. What I like to do with this tank is play it as a very, very, very close support tank for whoever is pushing. That can be mediums, it can be TDs, it can be heavies. And you're going to see me do that here on the hill on mines. And you can take this ethos and shove it into a whole lot of tanks that have good guns but no armor, and it will work very well. What I was doing there, if you're wondering, with HE, I was trying to track that VK2801 as he came across the hill and leave him floundering in front of 4 or 5 other tanks so we could possibly cleanse the world of a very good tank very, very quickly. Now, the thing that makes this tank extra special, which people consistently overlook, and there's only one thing really, it's the reload time between the shells on the clip. It allows you to play this playstyle in a fearsome manner. You have a full second, and that's it between shells. So that means you can take a shot, take another shot, and then take a third shot if the target's on offer in 2 seconds. Like, that's pretty amazing. 2 seconds to output 3 160 alpha rounds. You can do 500 damage very, very, very quickly. And people think the tank's a joke. They really treat it with absolutely no respect. Look at that. That 500 damage in 2 seconds, and then I'm hidden again. And I'm using this rock on my right, and I'm absolutely supporting my heavies. And again, this Tiger P's looking at everyone but me. That's just a Chi-Ri. We won't worry about the Chi-Ri. Have 509 damage in 2 seconds. And then I'm back behind my rock on the full reload, and then I'm going to pop out again, and as soon... The Tiger P is paying attention now. He's like, okay, that guy may actually have some kind of tank there that is doing a whole hell of a lot of damage to me. And I've got this Tiger P here who's holding the line, and that's wonderful, and I'm going to give him a hand by just dumping massive wads of damage into all and sundry. This is the Chi-Ri in its element, and it's where you can use a lot of tanks with great guns, even heavy tanks that don't have excellent armor profiles, like you know, a Conqueror or something like that. You can use it in these kind of situations, but the unique value of the Chi-Ri, and the 10 degrees of gun depression doesn't hurt either. It allows you to maximize your turret armor, even though it's very, very weak. The unique value of this tank is just that it can spit this damage out so quickly and so unexpectedly that people lose massive wads of hit points and become very vulnerable to other tanks that you're supporting in the general vicinity, like that Tiger P there, who has a wonderful game. He doesn't do as much damage as I do, but he is the whole reason we win the game. I'm able to work with him as a 2-man unit and keep these guys off the hill. And I think this is one of my favourite masteries ever, because I just love doing it in tanks that I know are good, like the Carnarvon, where, like, I had a game, a ratings game yesterday, where I did 4,555 damage in a Carnarvon in a loss. And a lot of it was brawling, and people just don't... People have these pigeonhole ideas on what is a good tank, and how a tank works, and why a tank is good. And there is nothing more satisfying than taking a tank that people think is bad and showing them exactly how the tank can work. Now, the reason I thought this tank was bad originally was I was like everyone else. And my good mate Ulrich on the... you know who I'm talking about, Mr. C, on my Twitter feed, basically badgered me for years to do a review on this tank. And I was like, no, not reviewing it. It's terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible. And I was completely and utterly remorseful about how wrong I was. This tank is glorious. This tank is one of the most fun tanks you can drive because it requires both a steady hand and a keen eye for detail. If you drive it like a normal medium, you deserve to get your skull smacked, because it doesn't have the DPM to just burn everyone down without taking hit point losses. And it doesn't have the armor profile. Like, you'll get smashed by KV2s and tanks like this. They just have too much alpha damage, and they can HE shell you. What you're looking for is opportunities to fire out in a peekaboo, go bang, 1 second, bang, 1 second, bang, 500 damage, hide again, and ease the pressure on the Tiger Ps and the very, very strong heavies of this world, who don't always have the ability to deal with multiple targets at once, and quite often get pushed on when they are the tip of the spear. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the island of lost toys, of misfit toys. A little bit of a giggle for me to put those three together in a video format. Three very unassuming vehicles that, if you play them in the right way and you can get the most out of them, will really leave a hell of a mark on the game itself. Until next time, guys, look after yourselves. Be sure to subscribe, like the videos, follow me on Twitter at Bushka on Blitz. If you want to become a Patreon, there's a lot of events and videos, private videos, stuff that no one else sees. These videos go up a week sometimes before I actually release them on channel, all that kind of stuff. Just look after yourselves and stay safe on the battlefield.